Am I the a-hole for not making the truth sound nicer in family therapy and standing by what I said? My mom died when I 17 was 4. My dad sent me to live with his parents immediately after. He said couldn't cope without mom and wanted me to have a stable life. I still saw him and stuff, but he wasn't raising me. That was left to my grandparents. They encouraged him to see me as much as he could, and he'd try to swing by at least once a week, but that didn't always happen. It was really awkward, and I remember being kind of sad about it for a year or more. Then it just became my new normal. When I was 8, my dad announced he was moving and wasn't sure when he'd come back. I didn't see him for more than 2 years, and when he moved back, he wanted me back. I was 10 by then. He was a stranger to me then too, so I didn't want to live with him, and my grandparents didn't want me to be taken back like that. Dad told them it was fine, and he met someone, and we'd all move in together in a few months. They said it was even more of a reason for me to stay because I wouldn't adjust well to random people coming in and living with me. He said they're not random. I was about to have a new mom and brother. They wanted to know if he had a kid with someone, and he said no. His fiancée had a kid already, but he was going to raise him as his own. My dad started a court battle with my grandparents when his wife moved to town to live with him, but they weren't married at the time. Dad said he'd been patient, but he didn't like that they were keeping me from him. I told him I didn't want to live with him, but he ignored me when I said it. And after months of fighting in court and me talking to people from the court, my dad won. It took almost a year though, and I was almost 12 by then. But I was forced to live with him and his wife and her son and their baby they just had. My dad was acting like I had never lived apart from him, and his wife acted like she was my mom. She'd tell me what to do. You need to play more sports. Spend less time with these friends because I don't like them. Spend time with your brother, and expect me to help out around the house and help her specifically. She said it was good for us to make up for all the time we lost. So I'd have to sit with her while she cooked and stuff, and she'd give me consequences for having an attitude about it. And whenever I told her she wasn't my mom, she would give even more consequences. I had stopped calling my dad years before he took custody of me back, and that was something he tried to change when I moved in with them. He'd tell me I had a mom and a dad and a brother and a sister, and using names and not acknowledging the family relationships were wrong. I told him they weren't really my family, and he spent time telling me they were and why I needed to be more open-minded about it. I never called him dad again, and I'm only doing it here for the sake of the post. I never called his wife mom or the kids my siblings. I never wanted to be a part of their family, and it started to impact my grades. My grandparents used that and some other stuff when I was 15 to fight for custody again. They were denied originally, but then it became a bigger fight. I had to speak to a therapist, someone from the court system, a GL, and a children's advocate person. Not the GL, but someone else. And after a lot of discussing what was the best thing for me and figuring out other stuff, as well as me studying up on how to speak more maturely, so I could get a judge to listen to me. The judge let me go back to my grandparents, but ordered that I take part in family therapy with my dad until I turn 18. That was almost a year ago, and I was 16 when that happened. I don't really take the therapy sessions seriously, and I take them less serious after Dad went back to court to ask for his wife to be included in the sessions which the judge allowed. So now I have to see both of them once a week for an hour. I don't say anything in therapy usually. I don't like the therapist, and I have my own, so I don't need them for anything. But a few weeks ago I did speak up because the therapist told me everyone needed to be honest at least once, and that I might as well say whatever it was that goes through my head. So I stopped wanting him back and wanting to live with him when I was about 6 or 7, and that I stopped wanting to be a part of his family again. I said he wasn't a good dad, and just because he tried, but only when his wife came into his life. It didn't mean I was okay with that. And I said the whole thing of having a new mom and brother was wrong because my mom died, and some strange pushy lady he met somewhere wasn't going to take her place just because she wanted some perfect family image. I said they tore me away from my home and the parents who raised me so they could play at being good people. I said a stranger told me who I could and couldn't be friends with and what kinds of hobbies I should have. I said I was punished for saying she wasn't my mom when she wasn't. I said they had brought up their kids hurting and missing me, and I said it was their fault because Dad ignored me when I said I didn't want to live with them. I said I wasn't ever going to want a relationship with their kids because to me blood doesn't make us siblings. It makes us related, and the same with one being raised by my dad. It makes us sort of related, but not family, not siblings. And the more they keep expecting that to change, the more they hurt their kids. My dad really didn't see what I said coming. His wife didn't look surprised, but more offended that I basically said she was nothing but a stranger to me when she was trying to play mommy. I got shift from them and the therapist for not making the truth kinder. The therapist said I can clearly speak with maturity in court, so being nicer about the truth would have been far better. After that, I stopped speaking again, but it has come up since then. Am I the a-hole?